Right. So welcome to Liberatory Finance. This is week one, and we'll be talking mostly about our money stories. So a little agenda for our time today. Each of these sessions will be 90 minutes. I'll hang around after those 90 minutes if folks have questions. So know that I've got an extra 30 minutes buffered in at the end for Q&A and to explore anything that's like not feeling really clear. But feel free, just feel free to kind of budget that 90 minutes each week. So we'll start off with some introductions. I'll tell you a little bit about myself for those of you that I am new to, and then I'd really like to get to know you and a little bit about your business and what brought you here. We'll do a quick overview of the month, what the 4 sessions are going to cover. And then the kind of meat and potatoes of our session today is to dig into some of these money stories that we have, some beliefs we have around money, and which of those beliefs and stories are feeling useful to us right now, and which of those are we feeling like ready to rewrite or let go of or just kind of say goodbye to altogether. And then our main focus for this first week will be to set up a personal household budget. And so I'm going to talk about that and some tools to do that. For some of you, just like quick show of hands, who has a personal budget already, like a household budget? Got a couple folks. Okay, cool. Nice. Sweet. Oh, welcome, Izzy. Nice to see you. Awesome. Cool, cool, cool. And then each session you'll leave with some homework. As you saw in the email, hopefully from me. If you didn't get the email from me this morning, or probably like it should have come basically right after you registered. If you didn't receive that email, definitely give me a shout out and let me know. And I'll double check on my back end. But homework will be around an hour, maybe 2 hours per week. And so part of your homework today will be to figure out when you're going to do your homework. Because I know just like slotting that time in alone can feel challenging. So we're going to hopefully accomplish that piece of homework before we even finish today. Any questions on the agenda? Good. Yeah. Cool. Okay. All right, so I would love for you to take a sec and introduce yourself in the chat. So if we don't have your name and pronouns already in your Zoom description, like your Zoom title, please include those. Give us a line or two about your business, and that's like, if it hasn't started yet, that's totally okay. Tell us about your ideas. If you've been in business a while, just tell us what you're working on. And then just a quick note about why you signed up for this series, like what inspired you to say yes to this. I would love to hear. And if typing for any reason feels inaccessible to you at this moment, you're more than welcome to unmute yourself. I just ask you, like, try to keep it like 60 seconds. Try to give us a quick intro. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that. There's no hurry. I know sometimes with these things, it feels like a mad rush to like type shit as fast as you can into the chat. So take your time. There's no hurry. Welcome, Casey. You're an end-of-life doula. You help people have a well-supported death through planning, practical support, and emotional support. Awesome. Hi, Fritz. And is it Hobbs or Hobbs?
It's Hobbs.
Hobbs. Okay, cool. I have a doctor friend who is also Hobbs, and for some reason, my brain wants to say Hobbs, and I don't know why. Okay, awesome. Hey, y'all. Your co-host at Kazemi Collective, an arts and farm retreat center. I'll also just give a little shout out. These folks have an amazing website, and people should probably check it out. It's very, very lovely and beautiful, and I spent a lot of time reading it. Also feel free, as we go through this, like this is a space for y'all to connect too. So like if you want to throw your website in, if you want to throw an Instagram handle in, like if you guys want to have separate messages and hang out with each other, like please use this space as a way to connect and build community. So y'all join the series because you want to figure out how to make your work sustainable for yourselves financially and also sustainable and accessible for your audience. Yeah, totally. I love that. Hi, MK. Climate justice, solo practice. Very cool. Is it Falami? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Falami, you work for HTI Catalyst, is a network of facilitators who hold space that builds community and evokes organizational shifts. Cool. And you're working on those money stories. Yep, I feel that. Welcome, Kim. Awesome. Hi, Jessica. Oh, cool. Enneagram stuff. I'm like vaguely familiar with it, and I've heard great things. Awesome. Diving back into your business. Letting some more folks in here. Hi, Susie. Hello, Caleb. Yeah, Caleb, I loved Caleb sent me I asked y'all to like reply to me via email of like why you joined, and I loved Caleb's share of just decided to commit to being upfront with clients about the unsustainability of capitalism. And although like this course specifically isn't like, anti-capitalism 101, I obviously will weave my beliefs around capitalism and anti-capitalism through this series, and always feel free to ask more questions about that if you're like, can you explain that further? Or, like, can you use different words to explain that? Because I think some of these, economics, as we'll talk about, is like has been built to be very purposefully confusing. And it like really isn't that confusing. And so we can kind of unpack some of that here as well. Welcome, Elise. All right, keep introducing yourselves in the chat. And folks that just joined us, we're just asking for a quick introduction. Whenever you get settled, take your time. And hi, Mycelent. Is it Millicent? Did I say that right?
Millicent.
Millicent?
Millicent.
Millicent. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you so much for correcting me. I appreciate it.
Millicent. You can call me Mill or Millie. That's fine
Okay.
too.
Ooh, I like Millie. Millie feels fun. You signed up
Hey,
because
that's
money
what
is scary. Yeah. Okay, cool. I want to figure out how to make it work for me without subscribing to capitalism. Yeah, totally. We'll talk a lot about that. Just like these, the inherent contradiction of like living in capitalism while being an anti-capitalist. It's like, yeah, there's just like, it's fraught with contradiction and fraught with challenge and friction. And so, how do we hold space for both of those truths at the same time? Yeah, totally. Okay, cool. So I'll do a quick introduction for myself for those of you that I am new to. My name is Emily. I use she, her pronouns. I have myself and my family live in Burlington, Vermont. And I spend a lot of time talking about and exploring economics. And that's what I'm most interested in. And the version of economics that I spend a lot of time focusing on is small business. And I really believe that just because I do not believe that small business is inherently exploitative. And I do not believe that capitalism is the only form of commerce. And so I really think that there is a unique space for small business owners in our current economy and our current political landscape to be directly contributing to building a post-capitalist future. Like, I strongly believe that all of us in this room have specific direct roles in the revolution that is to come. And I believe that we can do that through our business in addition to like our own activism that we're doing in our community. But I really believe that our business can have a central role in that. And so all the work I do with like in these workshops, in these series, and with clients one-on-one is like helping business owners figure out like what is their role, right? Like, how are they showing up for the revolution? How are they showing up to contribute to a post-capitalist world? And how the fuck do you do that and keep a house over your head and like pay for groceries and keep your kids like cared for, right? And so like there are these pieces of like there are real needs of having our needs met, right? Like paying for groceries, paying for rent or your mortgage. Many of us need a car because we have absolutely no public transportation in our country. Like we have these real needs. How do we meet those needs? And also be working towards building the world that we all know is possible and desperately want and need, right? And I don't think that we can only focus on one of those things. I think we can do both at the same time. So I know that's like kind of maybe a lot, maybe a little bit different than like traditional business counseling, but I think that's what we need. I think that's what our world needs right now. Um, so I'll take just a second to kind of define anti-capitalism. So we're all using a similar working definition. I know like um there are like certain terms. Like I did my I did my honors thesis on neoliberalism, and I think it took me the whole 2 years to like actually understand what neoliberalism was. And I think, capitalism and anti-capitalism can be similar. It's like these terms that maybe sometimes we start to throw around. Um, and I think it's similar with like words like solidarity and mutual aid. And it's like, do we have real working definitions for what these terms mean for us, right? And can we use them in a way that makes a lot of sense to us? And so I'm only going to bite off this one term for us today. But basically, when I say anti-capitalism, I'm looking predominantly at a needs focus, right? So what are the needs? What are my personal needs? What do I need to be a human in this world? What do the people who rely on me need? So for me, that's like, what do my children need? Right? I have two little children, so I got to think about them. And then also, I take one step out further from that. I'm like, what does my community need? Right? I live in Burlington, Vermont. What do the people of Burlington, Vermont need right now? And so I'm trying to build my business through this lens of what are the needs, right? Most immediate to me, then maybe one step out, another step out. And from there, I'm looking at how do all of us get our needs met, right? What does it look like to invest in collective wealth building? So instead of thinking about how do I make as much money as humanly possible, usually that's rooted in a place of fear, right? Like I'm afraid there's not going to be enough. So I got to take, 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 take. And instead I'm saying like, screw that. That's not the way I want to live. I want to think about how can my community, so maybe it's just Burlington, Vermont, maybe it's Vermont as a whole. Eventually it becomes, the United States, and eventually it becomes the world, right? Like we think globally, but we act locally usually, hopefully. And so I'm looking at how do I make my community wealthy, right? Not just me. And then a big part of that is getting really creative with alternative models of how we do business, right? And so that's where we can start to explore things like the gift economy and bartering and sliding scales. And we'll explore some of these things in week 3 of just like different ways of pricing, different ways of like experiencing money coming in and out of the business. But ultimately, what we're looking at really is just like, what are the needs and how can we make sure the needs of all of us are met, not just like the needs of a few? Any questions on that? Does that make sense? Yeah. Anything anyone wants to add? Anything else you're like, I think this is a part of it too, and you didn't talk about that, and that matters. Cool. Okay. If you change your mind and you got things to add as we go, please do. Um, so my goal for this month, I hope each of you have like some semblance of a goal for this month of like what you're hoping to take away from this and what you're hoping to learn. I would say like my goal is both qualitative and quantitative. So qualitatively, like I hope you leave this month feeling less shame around money. I think so many of us hold shame in like all different ways, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So I hope you leave with less shame. I hope you're able to like rid yourself of some of that shame because to be honest, it's not even yours, right? It was imposed by an inherently exploitative system that we live in. I hope you leave this month with more clarity. I hope you feel like you have a better understanding of your business and of things. And then lastly, like from a quantitative perspective, I really hope you leave enjoying and using at least one of the tools I give you. So I'm going to give you a couple tools to work with. My favorite idea would be that you leave using your business budget, which would be amazing. But I know for some of us, that's like a multi exposure experience before we really start to like enjoy our budget and like see our budget as like refuge and see our budget as like home and a place that like it is ours. So that might take some time. That might not happen necessarily just in these 4 weeks, but my hope for you is like that one day we get you there. You know, we get you to a place where you really feel good about the budget. Okay. I promise I'm almost done lecturing and we're going to start conversing. Just to give you, I'm a super future oriented human. I like knowing what's coming. If you are that way, this can sometimes feel helpful to just kind of see where we're going. So today, obviously, we're a lot of introductions, a lot of just getting to know each other. We'll do a little bit of chatting. We'll talk about some homework. Next week is where next week I would say is in terms of like technical to like chatty. Next week will be our highest technical session. So like we will cover things like a profit and loss statement, a budget, a cash flow projection, a balance sheet. All of these are terms that like for many of us, you might have even just like felt your body shut down immediately as soon as I started talking about those things. They can be like, just like you're like, I don't even know what those words are together, right? And so my hope for you is to break those 4 reports down incredibly simply so that in your future, if someone's like, well, I don't know, do you have a P&L? And you're like, yeah, I do. I know what a P&L is. Like, I'm good. Right. And so that you can feel really confident about your finances. And we'll leave that session with you having picked whatever tool you're going to use for your business budget. Week 3, week 3 is we kind of bend to whatever the group really needs. But week 3, I typically look at like, how do we project the money that might be coming in? How do we anticipate what money is coming in over the course of the next year? And if we have absolutely no anticipations, if we're like, I have no idea if money is coming in, we're going to talk a little bit about like, what are some things you could do to make that more concrete, right? And that's the week we'll also talk a little bit about things like the gift economy and bartering and exchanging and sliding scales. We can look at like alternative economic models during that week. And then the last week, we're going to focus on how to pay yourself. Can I get like a quick show of hands? Does anyone pay themselves the same amount on a regular basis? Like, does anyone like basically pay themselves a paycheck? We've got some movements. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, but we got a couple. So ideally what I like to see is we get to a place in the business, and again, like this may take time and that's okay. But ideally we get to a place in the business where you're basically taking a paycheck, right? Like every 2 weeks you get paid, and you get paid basically the same amount every time, and you can start to plan on that, right? And you can start to plan with that in mind. And so we'll walk through like, how the hell do you actually figure out what that number is? Like, how do you know how much you can pay yourself? Because that can be a little bit tricky, right? And so we'll walk through that. Any questions on the timeline or overview of like what we're covering? Anything you were like, God damn it, I was hoping you were going to cover XYZ and that's not here. Cool. Okay. In case you were feeling that way, we aren't going to dive too deep into pricing, sales, marketing, or the downfall of capitalism as quite as much in this series. But just know that I've got tons of free classes on a lot of these topics, and you can find them on my website, and I'll reference them if they make sense as we're moving through. Okay, here we go. So we're going to talk a little bit about money and lived experiences. And before we dive into that, I just like to acknowledge that we are absolutely not all entering this space from the same lived experiences, right? Like we are going to have a wide range of lived experiences coming into this next step. And so, first, just know like I personally welcome all levels of comfort and discomfort in terms of finances and money. But also, just for your fellow comrades in the room, like just be kind, right? Like, don't assume that just because you experienced money a certain way means everybody else did. I'm sure most of you will not do that. But just be kind as we like move through this next space and hold, hold love and space for everyone here because this is a tough topic. And I just like to note, what matters most here is your well-being and taking care of yourself. And so if you notice that the conversation is like moving in a direction that you're like, this is too much for me, this is bringing up things that like are too painful, I don't want to talk about this. I have just a few suggestions on things you can try. So stepping away from this conversation just for a few minutes, like go use the bathroom, get a glass of water, just take a minute. You can write down what's coming up for you. If it feels helpful to share with the group, like please share. We love to hear from you. And sometimes just like giving yourself permission to not really participate, but just listen can be enough too. So just take care of yourself. I know, I every time I lead this, I experience at least one human having a really tough time. And so I just want you to know, like, take care of yourself here. There's no reason to like feel like you're letting any of us down by you taking care of yourself. All right. That was enough of me chatting. What I'd like to do next is take really like any amount of time. Yeah, we got time. So just take some time to explore these two questions. What were you explicitly and implicitly taught about money? And what specific stories and sentences do you remember people saying about money when you were growing up? And I'm going to ask you to, you can put it in the chat, but it would be even better if you would be willing to unmute yourself and just share. And try to keep your shares to like, a minute or two. And yeah, Kiana, you want to lead us away?
Yeah, it was first. Um, hold
I'm
on.
like, hold on, I can't hear you very well.
I'm technology is my enemy today, so I'm using my laptop while using my cell phone for sound.
No, no worries.
Hi everyone, good morning. Um, I was not taught much about money
Mm,
directly, either explicitly or implicitly. So it's part of that like breaking generational curses and learning new things about myself and trying to just as a small business owner be more responsible, generally speaking.
hmm
And especially I'm currently in a situation where one of my clients has, because of everything going on in our political state, is not able to pay me for the next 2 months.
mm,
And so I'm trying to figure out what is a growth business model from a liberatory space.
yeah, yeah.
And there were not a lot of conversations about money other than like we didn't have it. And a
hmm
lot of the conversations with money came from like what's not getting paid for, or how are we juggling this, or can you manage this, or can you ask this person for this so that we can cover this. So it was a my experience with money has been from a deficit, from not being
hmm
able to access it, not having free
hmm
access to it. So thank you for creating this
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. Thanks, Kiana, for sharing. I had such a good point of like, it's not just like what we have been taught, it's like what were we not taught too, right? Like some for many parents, I know like it was just like silence. It was just absence, right? Like don't talk about it at all, right? And that silence also speaks volumes, right? Like that silence tells us a lot too. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Someone else.
I am. I kind of had the opposite growing up. My father constantly talked about money. And I found, like, I was going through my stuff when I was a kid. I used to draw him like fake checks to help him pay the bills as like an 8-year-old. Which I was
Ugh.
like, oh, maybe this is where all my anxiety about money comes from.
Yeah.
Because now, no matter how much money I have, it's never enough.
Mm, mm,
And I think I devoid myself of things like vacations or
mm,
going out to eat because I think there's never enough money, even though there is money for those things.
hmm Yeah.
So
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Chris. Go ahead, Aaron.
I have a stepfather that was formative in my financial beliefs growing up. And it was basically like, if you can't afford it, if you don't have cash in hand, then you can't do it. You can't pay for it. and which was helpful when I was young because it encouraged me to stay at a state school and not really have debt coming out of school. But as an adult, having a family and
Mhm.
trying to raise them in this environment, I feel like we just never have any money. And we have credit card debt now as a family
Mhm.
because we have to survive. But now I have
Mhm.
all this shame about having
Sure.
credit card debt because I was like taught specifically, and I have this in the back of my head, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
balance that because it is good advice, but yet I need to live. So
Totally. Yeah. I appreciate that, Erin. It reminds me of like has anyone ever heard like the traditional like finance advice for business owners is that you should have 3x your monthly like needs in a savings account. And I'm like, who the fuck in this day and age has that much money just sitting there? Like, I don't know how I would like that would be like that would probably be close to like $30,000 that I would have to like have in it. Like, I don't know where you would get that money. And so I think like what I hear, Erin, is like this friction between like the way our parents were raised and the way that they experienced money is incredibly different from the way we experience money now and our access to money now, right? Like for many of us that are like of the millennial generation, like we have more debt than our parents could ever even imagine, right? Like my mom went to college for $5,000, like total, like that's not a thing anymore, like cars are $80,000 now. Like that's just, it's not the same economy that our parents grew up in. And so, like, yeah, it's important that we're questioning some of this advice that we have been told of like, is it even possible to never be in debt? Like, is that even an option for us at this stage? Like, I don't know. It might not be, right? And so then to feel shame around being in debt is kind of like, this isn't something you really necessarily have that much control over. Yeah. Falami, go ahead.
I wish I had more shame about that. Like I don't care. And that's my this mantra I've been working to not have anymore is I'm not motivated by money. So I worked
Mm,
really hard,
mm,
went to every uh let's see, I can't even remember what do we call ourselves when we're entrepreneurs. Oh, social. I went to everything about being a social entrepreneur.
mm,
But the truth is I'm still not really motivated by it.
mm,
But because I now don't have that steady salary I was able to
mhm,
have for so many years, I'm thankful. I never got the 6 months or 3 months in the account, but I got close and then I used it all up in the last 6 months. And the thing I've been really thankful for is that I live frugally enough, but yet it's a rich life that even making less money, because I've been doing the like, just don't pay me, pay everybody else, don't pay me,
mm,
right? For about 2 months, I'm okay.
mhm.
And I think that's one of the things too, we have to think about how do we affirm like being good, knowing rich is not dollars in the bank. But
Mhm.
lastly, I do want to say I heard money doesn't grow on trees all growing up.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I just
yeah,
like hear it
yeah,
all. If anybody says, "What you hear growing up?" Oh my gosh, I heard that so much.
yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to just close with this idea that can we not hate it? Like yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because I see it so tied to capitalism and wealthy people abusing people making $15 an hour. Like it's just hard for me to
Mhm,
fully
mhm,
just embrace money.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for sharing, Falami. Yeah. I always like to remind folks that like money itself is not inherently, it has no inherent value. It's just a piece of paper, right? It's just digits in a bank account. It's zeros in a bank account, right? Like money itself does not have an inherent worth or value. It is not morally right or wrong. It is humans, right? It's humans and how we are using money that is either liberatory or fucked up, right? It's like that's what we should be focused on. And so I think kind of like helping us see that like money is merely it's merely a tool. It does not hold moral weight. It's the human beings behind the money that are making decisions. That is where like our focus should be, right? And like that's where the feeling should be coming, is around the human beings that are using the money, not the money itself. And so trying to just create a little bit of space there can be helpful for sure. Yeah, go ahead, Casey.
Um, oh, let's see if I can get my hand to lower. There we go. So I grew up in a household that had a real scarcity mindset around money. Even when my parents moved into like jobs that they had salaries and expenses were pretty flat, like they knew what the income was. And so at some point, we really could have shifted from every single opportunity to earn money you cannot turn down because you don't know when there's not going to be opportunities. And so they're like the responsible thing to do is always to work and to work more and extra late hours on the weekends, doing side work, like lots and lots of hustle. And then the other piece that came into that was, and if I want my life to be different, I need to go to college, get a certain kind of good job, right? And not waste my degree. And I did that. I got a college degree, first person in the family, yay, got a master's degree, worked in higher education for 10 years, got really burned out. COVID happened, left and became an entrepreneur. And now I feel this constant pressure to like prove that I didn't make a mistake and throw it all away.
Yeah. 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 Totally. Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Casey. I'm going to read a couple of them from the chat. Marcella said, a story that came up for you: money is a source of conflict and used to control. I can maintain autonomy. I'm still in here, little booth. My light's turned off. I can maintain autonomy by being frugal and having my own savings. Being money motivated is not good values. Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting when you say that, because it's like there's this contradiction between money of like, I have to make as much money as I can. I have to save money, but then to have money is like rooted in greed and selfishness. There's like these like weird like pinball things happening around money for many of us in our brain that like when we put all the stories together, like they just don't even make sense, right? It's like, wait, how can it be this and this, right? How can it be good and bad? Josette, you said money has always felt overly moral to me, as in I watched my parents struggle and we went through bouts of homelessness, etc., throughout my life. And so now that I'm an adult that is stable and quote has my shit together, I feel intense pressure to never take any sort of financial risk because I want to prove myself to have quote broken the curse. Yeah, absolutely. Kim, you said I had one parent who was very good with money, accountant mother, and my father had a spending problem based on what I'm sure were issues with depression. There was constant conflict with that, but also my mother's sort of just dealing with it, but keeping her own stuff in check, also being told. We didn't have a ton in the bank, so I had to be a high achiever to get a scholarship to college if I wanted to go. I remember being obsessed with knowing if we were middle class or upper middle class or not. Lots of comparison. Yeah. Oh man, that one is like running deep for us in our family right now. I have a 5-year-old. He's almost 6, and um he the other day was just absolutely in tears that we have one car and that the neighbor across the street has 3 cars. And he was just like, what, like, how we have to find a way to get another car. And I was like, no, we don't. We're not getting another car. I was like, I don't want another car. We only need one car. And even the one car we have, we barely use. Like we have like built our lives around bikes. We don't like being in the car. We use public transportation when we can. And he was just like, but what does it mean about us to like only have one car? And I was like, why the fuck does this have to happen so young? I'm like, I hate this. It's like I'm already trying to like help my child unlearn capitalism, and he is 5, right? Like, and it's just bananas, like how quickly that comparison takes root in us.
Emily, we had a
Um,
similar issue recently, and someone said to me, and it has been so helpful for guiding the conversations with my daughter, is starting with that's not what we choose to spend our money on, and then going
yeah,
back to our values about
yeah,
money.
yeah. I love that
Because
sentence.
man, that sucks.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Caleb, you said I grew up hearing money can buy happiness. Yeah. And have found that to have a strange shred of truth to it. Yeah. I'm still teasing apart the wheat and the, I don't know that, is it chaff? The wheat and the chaff and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stalk chaff. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's a certain amount of money, like because we do not have social safety nets in the United States, right? And like because we don't have free access to food or housing, and because our jobs are not guaranteed, like there absolutely is a certain level of money that, I don't know if it necessarily buys happiness, but it buys safety and it buys um it it affords us to be well, And so like, but I agree. I think there's like, and I think we all have moments where we're unpacking this of like, if I like buy a new sweater and like the feelings of joy I experience in wearing that new sweater and it looking nice, And so like, do I need the sweater? Probably not, like I probably have enough clothing at this stage in my life that I don't need a new sweater. But like, what is that new sweater? What does that feeling of joy that the new sweater brings me mean? Right. And I think is where it can get kind of complicated, especially for folks that are like pretty radicalized and on the left. It's like being anti-capitalist, being socialist, wanting a post-capitalist future doesn't mean that we can't have joy. It doesn't mean we can't have new things. It doesn't mean we can't have nice things. Like, it's like, but there is like a limit to like how many nice things, how much nice things, right? Like, how nice are these things? Like, is a $100 sweater okay and a $5,000 sweater not okay? Like, where does that, like, it can get really tricky of just trying to figure out like where is enough. And I think that's something that all of us will be forced to explore more as capitalism continues to implode, right? Like there will come a point where like we cannot continue to exist the way we are all existing, right? If we want all of us to live. Izzy, I'll just share Izzy's and then we can start to move on here. But Izzy, you shared my family conversations around money were very pull yourself up by your bootstraps. If you work hard, you'll get everything you need or want. But no real talk about how to earn and manage money and debt. Yeah. At least you said you grew up in a scarcity mindset and money was always a negative topic. The thought was we never had enough, and that it also bled into feeling like we couldn't share with or help others without incentive. Ooh, that's an interesting one. The scarcity mindset still is strong in the back of my mind, even though we have enough, more than enough. And I'm trying to unlearn not everything needs to have money or incentive involved. Also, just a habit of just completely avoiding looking at money. Yeah. Um, yeah, Fritz, I love that. Why is the sweater $5,000? Ah, such a good question. Yeah, I'll share too just a little bit of my own money stories. We grew up, my dad was actually a financial well, my dad was first a minister, and my mom decided that she did not like being poor. And so she informed my dad that he needed to go find a different job. And so he became a financial management person and made a good deal of money. And but he didn't make so much money. It was like he made plenty of money for our family, but my mom wanted to believe that it was like $1 million money, right? Like really big money. And so she consistently would outspend our budget. And I grew up learning that like money is incredibly easy to attain. All you have to do is snap your fingers and more money will appear. And I remember like frequently listening to them argue when they thought we weren't hearing them, of like her overspending, him wanting to pull back and like don't spend so much. Um and so I think there's like, when we think about our money stories, there are often parts like most things are not black or white. Most things aren't all good or all bad. There are a few things that are, but uh for me, being told that money was easy to make deeply influenced like my confidence in going into business. Like I was like, oh, of course I can do that. That's not hard. I'll be fine. And I think that that was useful to me in a way, right? But then also the flip side of that was like I was like got a few years into business and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. How much money is enough money? Like how do you know when you need more money? And so like I lacked a lot of clarity and pragmatism around financials, which is honestly like where this series was built out of was like my own need of understanding my finances and looking around and just really not enjoying what I saw out there in terms of teaching and so I think it's, whether we're coming from a place of like there's never enough money or you're coming from a place of like there's money's easy to make, these stories help us in some ways and they also hurt us, right? They also hold us back in certain ways too. And so I think it's like being able to parse that out and know that it's not all good and it's not all bad and taking the pieces that you think are helping you and letting go of the rest. All right, so I'd like to talk a little bit about like where do we want to go from here? Um, when you think about where you're going in business, how do you want to feel about money? How do you want to feel about your ability to make money? And how do you want to see our communities and our world relate to money, right? Like beyond just you. How do you want money to like flow and work in our world? Yeah, Kiana said, abolish money, barter everything. We don't need capitalism. I agree.
I'd love to share.
Yeah,
I
go
run a
for it.
consultant network, and we get everybody has their own business, but we get business as the network, and I believe in financial transparency.
Hell yeah.
And but I'm telling you, that is not a thing everywhere. So
Oh, of
I've
course
met
not. People are so
I've met
resistant.
some I met one consultant, and she said, "What? You tell everybody what you're being paid?" And she said, "I never do that. Like if I hire someone $100 an hour, they have no idea I made 3,500." And I was like, "No." So that's what I'd love to see, a world with financial transparency. And if we could just change this idea that just because you started it, like Jeff Bezos started it, that he deserves to be the billionaire.
Yeah,
And the person I see in my neighborhood is
driving the
still,
truck back and forth.
struggling
Yeah.
to get food on the table. Like, how can we change that? I
Hmm.
get it. Some people call it profit sharing, but I don't, it feels deeper than that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Chris, you said, I want to feel secure, independent of money. Oh, I like that. I don't need money to survive, but money is nice to have for the extras. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Josette, you said, I want to feel like I can give generously. I like to put my money where my mouth is when engaging in activism and supporting my community, but it also scares the hell out of me and my tendency to want to hoard all of my money just in case. Yeah, that's a real fear. It's something I struggle with too is like and we can talk about that with the budget too is just like having a plan around your generosity so that you're not left to like gut instincts in terms of generosity. So like if we can plan for how much you can afford to give each month, then we start to remove any sort of like guilt or shame around giving or not giving because it's like we've planned for it. You're like, I know I can give $50 a month. Maybe every month you're deciding where that $50 goes, or maybe there's one cause that you're just going to consistently give to every month. Maybe you're splitting that $50 up amongst four different organizations, right? Like, but we can plan for that generosity instead of it feeling. I think sometimes we've been like sold this idea of like philanthropy where it's like you're just like, oh, I'm gonna like go give $100,000, and it's like that's none of us, right? And so like we actually need a plan around our giving in order for it to be sustainable and meaningful. Yeah. Marcella, you said, yes, the worker owner wage gap is gross, for lack of a better word. Yeah. Caleb, you said, I want to see money replaced by community. I want transactions to be founded in personal connections, commitments, trust, and accountability. Yeah. Casey, I want my clients to feel good about paying me. Yeah. Not like they're having to protect themselves against being taken advantage of. And the flip side is I want to feel good about what I am charging and how I have planned to make things accessible to folks with financial need. Absolutely. Cam, you said I read Sacred Economics, and that book changed your life. One of the ideas you're trying to live by is that you need to be putting money into your local economy, and that is the only way it's going to come back to you. I like to think of it as a flow of energy and being generous with it and knowing it will eventually come back to me like a gift economy. I also really think I like the idea of devaluing currency is cool. Yeah, I love that. Very neat. Any other ideas around just like how you want to feel about your ability to make money in business, how you want to feel about money in general? Izzy, I want to feel like I have my shit together. Yeah. Fritz and Hobbs, go for it.
Yeah, I just want to feel the abundance that I know to be true whenever I look outside and see the earth and see the ocean and the land. Like, I want to feel that in terms of like all the resources that we need, um, to where, yeah, just like basic needs aren't a question or aren't like a feeling of scarcity behind them. It's just we know we have what we need and like we can flow accordingly based off of what the community's needs are, what like what people are asking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like money just it has way too much weight on literally everything. It would be nice if it was put back into the appropriate box of what it is for being a tool. Like
Yeah.
one thing to acquire other things and let it be just that and not this all-encompassing fixation that unfortunately we're just
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Yeah. Marcella, you said I want to feel that I've got it handled if there's an emergency, that I know I can pay my bills. Millie, you said something that I liked. I lost it. I think Millie, you said something to the effect of like, I just want it to like, oh, I want it to be a non-thought. Like it's just not really that important. Like it's not at the forefront of my brain all the time. And I couldn't agree more. I think it's like when I think about money, I think a lot about like how will the revolution be funded? Like the right just has such like just an insane amount of money, and like the left, I think the left has a lot of issues, and like not having a good grasp on how we handle money, I think is one of our many issues. And just like being really organized with our money and figuring out how we do that. I think we have like on the left, there's this narrative that like money is inherently bad and greedy, and so we should just like not pay attention to it. We should just ignore it. And I don't think that's actually useful because it's like it's the same thing of like being an anti-capitalist in a capitalist economy. We have to acknowledge the environment that we are in order to change it, right? Like we can't just like be like la 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 la. I'm not gonna like pay attention to money. Like we need to be paying attention to this in order to get us to a place where it is a non-thought, where it is guaranteed for all, right? Like, but we got to focus on it right now to get us there. Um, yeah, yeah, I like that. Kiana said, I've been yelling that if it was cost effective to be free, we would all be rich. Yeah. And the last thing I'll share is like when I think about money, I want my services to be available to literally any human that feels like they would be helpful at no pain to them, right? Like I want people to be able to use my services without it feeling painful. And that's like a big goal for me. Um, totally. Yeah. Thanks, Tess. Okay. I really appreciate you all sharing. And if other things come up for you around the money stories as we start to move through this, like feel free to always come back to this. Um, and there's always space for this more kind of like heart type work. Are you familiar with like head, heart, hand, that framework? So there's like things that we're like intellectualizing and working through. There's things that we're like feeling, and then there's things that we're doing like with our hands. And so like this kind of work that we are just engaged with is a little bit more of a combination of like head, heart, and we're going to start to move into more like hand type work. But just know we can always come back to it. It's good when this work kind of blends all together. So we're going to start with a personal budget. I used to teach this series and we just went straight into the business budget. And I realized very quickly that as soon as we would get to the place where I was like, how much do you need to make? People were like, oh, no idea. And I was like, oh, okay. So we need to step back and look at like how much money needs to be coming into your home in order for you, and like how much money needs to be coming into your home is a spectrum question. So it's like, what's the bare minimum that needs to come into your home for like the lights to stay on and you to stay fed, right? And for most of us, I think we're like not super interested in just only living in that space. Like we would like there to be a little bit and a little bit of a buffer, right? Like to Chris's point, like I would like to be able to take a vacation, right? I don't want to like only be living just to pay my bills. So we've got like that base amount that needs to be coming in for everything to function. Then we've got like plus some, and then we've got plus some, and then we probably have plus some. And so like the range I'm looking at is like, what does it cost to keep the lights on and for my home to function? And then what does it cost for me to like do all that plus be saving for retirement, to go on a vacation, if I have children, to invest in like some sort of like 529 account, right? Like maybe my kids want to go to a vocational training or college, right? Like I want like there's some other things I want to be thinking about future planning rise, right? That I want to be saving for. So I'm going to encourage you, like at first, we're just going to look at like, how is the household functioning? Like what money is coming in and what money is going out? And for a lot of folks, when we do this exercise, some adjustments are immediately made, right? You're like, oh shit, we're spending how much on what? Like, I don't need that. And some shifts are made immediately, which is great. For others, you're already like living at that bare bones and you already know exactly how much is coming in and coming out. And there's not a whole lot of wiggle room there. And that's totally okay. We're going to like work on that. Um, but I'm like, I think I saw someone's, yeah, Chris. Okay. Hold on. That's the next slide. So I just totally lost my train of thought, but I'm gonna just hop us again. Actually, that wasn't the next slide. I'm gonna go to that one real quick, just because Chris brought it up. Um, so the tricky part about personal budgeting is personal budgeting often involves another person. Many of us don't live alone, and we have some sort of partner, loved one. Maybe you have a parent that lives with you, or you have children, you've got other humans involved. And it can be really tricky getting them on board to do this activity with you. I totally understand that's hard. And so what we'll do over this next week, because your homework this next week is to build your personal budget, we're just going to do the best we can. So if you have a partner that's like, get the hell away from me, I'm not doing this with you. First of all, like feel free to reach out to me just via email. And like, I'm happy to try and troubleshoot. I have a little script here for you for starting the conversation with people, with your loved ones. And you're welcome to just like take a screenshot of this, but I am going to send the deck out after too. But basically just trying to, your biggest friend in this next step is taking full ownership. So like make it as easy as humanly possible for that other person to be a part of this, and like do not ask them to do anything you don't really need them to do. So just like remove as much labor as possible from their plate and take it on for yourself if you can. That is going to be like probably the fastest way to get through this. I know for some folks, this is just going to be a really tough spot. If you have a partner that's like, I'm just not gonna do this, or they're like kind of ghosting the conversation, or they're refusing to engage, um, and we need to just like move forward with the best of a budget you can come up with, that's okay too, right? Like this can be a work in progress. Okay, cool. I'm glad this feels helpful. Yeah, my emphasis here in the script is just like, I want to feel stable and supported. I know you, my loving partner, also want to feel stable and supported. Here's what I want to try. And it's not designed to micromanage you or stress any of us out. It's really just here to like help us feel like we know what we're doing. Right. And hopefully like that is received well. Okay, so I'm going to come back here and let's talk a little bit about some of the tools we have. All right, so our first option, this is my like personal preferred option just because my God, is it easier. This is called, has anyone familiar with YNAB? Not yet? No, cool. Oh, just that said, I adore YNAB. I do too. I really like it, and I think it's very helpful. I like that it has a really friendly app. I like that I can also do it on my desktop. I just like that versatility of it. It costs $109 for the year. So I think it's pretty cheap in terms of like expenses, not too bad. And I have a coupon code thing for you to just get a free month. So at the very least, you could do the coupon code and just do it for the month that we're together and then cancel it if you wanted, right? As like, if you're like, I just want to be able to use it while we're together. And then I don't know if I want to pay the $109. That's totally fine. So this is option one. I think it's like super simple. The other thing I like about it is it makes you give every single dollar a job. And I like that kind of budgeting. So there's no money just like hanging out. It's like every single dollar that's coming in or going out has some job that it's attending to. And I like that. It hooks up to your bank account and your credit cards. So and it has machine learning. So it's going to start to learn all of your expenses and your purchases, and it'll start to categorize them for you. Let's see. Marcella, you said pro tip, YNAB together lets you share the app account but maintain privacy. Oh, I'm like, I don't know what that is. Tell us more about this. Is that, you mean like you can then go share it with like a financial planner or something like that?
So actually, YNAB together, it's just free. It's included in the cost of your YNAB subscription, and you
Uh-huh.
can share it with your partner or like even a friend.
Oh, cool.
And you don't have to see each other's budgets, so you don't have to see each other's money situation. It's just a way of like it's like you're sharing your Hulu password or whatever.
Oh, cool. Okay, great. That's good to know. Awesome. So that would be helpful for folks that are going to like use it with a partner. Some of you might be like surprised and your partner is like, I've been waiting for this all along. Thank you so much for prompting this. You never know. We can surprise ourselves. So I will say on the YNAB website, and I'm going to send this link out and everything in the email that'll come after today. But there's under like when you go to YNAB's website, under this Learn tab, there are all these like tutorials. And this one, the Ultimate Getting Started Guide, is so helpful. So if you decide to go this route, like just make an account and go here to the Let's Get Started. And that'll walk you through everything. And then if you're still having trouble, shoot me an email. I'm happy to troubleshoot and help. Any questions about the YNAB option right this second? Can I get like a thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down of like how we're feeling so far? Is anyone like starting to sweat, hyperventilate? Yes. I'm a little sweaty. Okay, cool. All right. Anyone want to share how they're feeling? Particularly any of my middle thumb people? I'm like, go for it, Hobbs. I know you want to share something.
I was gonna type it, but I'll just say it. Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
the budget part for the starting point makes my shadow self want to just like tap out because I'm like, well, I don't really have anything to budget because like the money coming
Mm.
regularly. So I'm like, how could I possibly build out the structure of it when I don't really know the inflow of it. So I'm
Yeah.
here, but my brain is desperately trying to check out.
Oh, I appreciate that so much. Thank you for sharing. Oh, yes. Yeah. I think it's like the thing I would say to the part of your brain that's wanting to check out is um like build it and they will come, right? And so it's like let's build the structure of what we want the finances to look like and to be, and then trusting that like that will be one of the stepping stones that makes the finances come, right? And so like um I had a coach that used to always say like plan to succeed, right? And so like that's what we're doing here. We're planning for your success, right? We're planning for this to fucking work. And so in order to do that, we got to like create a little foundation for that success to like fall into. Absolutely. Izzy, you said I've been sweaty since we started. I feel that. Millie, you said I feel mostly good about what we're learning, but definitely feeling like I may become avoidant about the personal budget, like I have been before this workshop. Yep, totally. We can talk a little bit about that. Josette, I'm a huge budget fan usually, but I've been avoiding even looking at my YNAB app after being laid off from my full-time job since I am in the what the fuck is going on stage of losing my primary income. Yep, absolutely. Um, okay, yeah, let's talk. I think we can, yeah, Jen, why don't you go ahead first and then I'm gonna speak just to a little bit of that before we move forward.
Yeah, thanks, Emily. So the the screen before this where you shared the script about having the
Oh,
conversation
yep,
about, oh, can you hear me?
yep.
Yes, that one. So I just had that conversation with myself.
No.
I've been having that conversation with myself for
That's a great idea.
20 years, I think. Yeah, about 20 years I've been having it, and I'm really actively working at flipping the narrative in my own self and
Yeah.
really getting shame out of the equation. I wasn't taught to be financially sound. We live in a society that supports that, you know, for me especially. I'm a small business owner, and my wife and partner, Jackie, grew up very differently than me, and she is financially sound. So I'm the one who feels like I'm like bringing the relationship down, like, you know, because it feels very, you know, finances feel really unstable. So like strapping my frigging helmet on and being like, this isn't me being bad, shitty, less than, like, this is a skill that I can build, and this is a
Yeah.
spreadsheet that I can fill out. Like, trying to just take the emotion out of it is where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing, Jen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. To that point, Elise just said, like, any tips for getting yourself to just do the task? I've been avoiding this for a long time. Yeah, I think one of the things I'd like to do, we have a little bit of time. One of the things I was thinking we could do is like, if you're up for the YNAB, and I'm going to show you the other option too. There's a free one that we can just download off the internet as well. The only thing is it's not going to like categorize things for you, right? You're going to have to like manually input. One thing I would like to do today is like, we still have 15 minutes. I would love to like just put the link in the chat and we spend 5 minutes setting up the account right now, right? And we just like get it logged into, right? It's like tiny baby steps. And we can do that today. And then our homework today is to put into your calendar when you're going to work on this each week this month. And we're going to share in the chat what your time block is. Like, you're going to tell us it's Tuesday from 3 to 5 weekly. And that's what I'm committing to. So we'll take a couple of those baby steps here before we depart. But the other thing I think about is like, oh, this is an example of this. So this past week, I basically like just did not drink water. I did not eat food. And I just like, I treated myself very poorly. I just like worked. I worked. And, you know, there are a multitude of reasons why that happened. And I was on my bike yesterday. I was leaving I had a physical therapy appointment, and she was just like, you are better than this. Like you are better at caring for yourself than this. Like why are you treating yourself this way? And I was like, you're right. I am so much better than this. I'm so awesome. Like I am such a wonderful, amazing human and I deserve to be like watered and fed. Like this is silly. I can do these things. Like I don't want to be this version of myself. That it doesn't feel good in my body to be this version of myself and I don't want it. And so like I think for us in this next step, thinking about like being really honest of like what version of yourself do you want right now? You know, like I want the version that's going to look at the damn budget, that's going to fill it out. Like that's what I want. I want to feel like I am taking good care of myself because I'm like I am worth taking care of. And so are you, right? Like you are worth taking care of. And this is part of taking care of you. Is like making sure that you are financially sound, that your home is financially sound. That is part of taking care of you. And you are totally capable of doing that. 100%. You wouldn't be here if you didn't think so. Like you would not have shown up here if you didn't think this was possible, if you weren't interested in doing this. So like, let's do it. Let's do that part and let's do it together. You're not doing this by yourself, right? We're going to do it together every week. Yeah. Okay. Um, I know. Everyone drink water. I've been paying for my dehydration day the last 2 days. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. I was just checking over your. Yeah, I agree. It's so easy to slip into over functioning patterns. Yeah. All right. Okay, we're all drinking water. We're all gonna fill out a budget. We're all gonna stay present here. Yeah, Fritz, you said, can you speak to the difference between budget and balancing? I make a projected budget, but then it sometimes goes out the window on months where I travel a lot or something. Okay, yeah. So great question. So when you set up the YNAB, you'll see there's kind of two different features. So there's the budget in which we're like projecting what things will be, but then there's the actuals, right? And so like the actuals should be, since you are like assuming you set up your credit card and your bank account to the YNAB, it's going to be categorizing what you actually are spending, right? And so what we're looking for eventually is we're going to get to a place like my partner and I meet on the first Wednesday of every month to review the previous month's YNAB, right? And so we're like, okay, where did we come in where we thought we would? I really encourage you not to use words like, where did we fuck up and where did we do great? It's like, that's not what's happening. It's like, where was the budget accurate and where was the budget inaccurate, right? It's not about you necessarily. It's about like, is the budget reflecting the spending that's happening? And that's what we want. Like, so for us, we were consistently overspending the grocery budget that we had set. And I was like, maybe the grocery budget is inaccurate. Like maybe that's not the budget, right? Like maybe the budget is actually this. And then when we make it that, we're successful every month, right? Granted, yes, we have to figure out where that money comes from, blah, blah, blah. But so does that answer your question, Fritz? It's like we're going to put in some of our projections of like what we anticipate to happen, but then YNAB's going to follow us by saying this is what's actually happening. And how close are those two things? Yeah. Erin, go ahead.
Kind of along the same lines or in that same realm. My partner is currently I'm at home and my income is not consistent at all, very part-time. But my partner is a contractor and this is the part that we get stuck on every time we try to create a budget. It's like we don't have a set amount of money that comes in every month because it's job dependent. There's always the job, but we struggle to figure out, it feels like there's probably a simple answer for coming up with our monthly income, but we just never know where to start with that because it's
so
the other. You know?
Yeah, so your partner needs to either have an average, like, so I would either look for the average your partner pays themselves and use that for right now, or like this could be a moment that we start to encourage your partner to start to like pay themselves a regular amount each month and like have like, so for instance, like you could argue I'm the exact same thing. Like June, July, August, I made almost no money. It was like a scary summer. And then September has been like bing right back up. But I'm paying myself the same all the way across. Right. So like my income is not changing. The balance sheet of the business sure as hell is fluctuating all over the damn place, which is annoying, but I'm still paying myself the same. And so ideally, your partner would find a number that they are comfortable paying themselves every single month. And then it's like you might, for a while, what they might do is just give themselves little bonuses. So, like, let's say it's like I agree to pay myself $3,000 a month consistently, but one month I made 10K. So I'm going to give myself a 2K bonus that month, but we're still banking on that 3K every month. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's very helpful.
That would be
Actually.
ideal, is if they could move to that model. But if not, I would take an average of what they paid themselves over the course of the last year, break that into 12 months and use that number as your income.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kim.
Hi, thanks. So you said, the last 3 months you weren't making anything, but you were still taking a paycheck. Does that mean, are you like pulling from like a savings reserve, or like how do you work that when nothing's actually coming in for those months?
Yep. Yeah. So, I've been doing this for 8 years. So thankfully I've gotten to the place where I have a savings built up. It sure as hell is not comfortable pulling from your savings. But I like, and I got to, there have been moments where it's like, so I pay myself $22.50 every 2 weeks. And we'll look at my actual budget next week. I'll show you my budget. I pay myself $22.50 every 2 weeks. And there have been moments where I've been like, babe, I got to pay myself like 2K every 2 weeks, or I got to pay myself $17.50 every 2 weeks. Like there have been moments where I've had to pull that number down. But what I'm not doing is stopping the automatic withdrawal altogether, right? Like I'm not fucking with it so much that we no longer have stability. It's like there's going to be maybe some variance, and like gradually I hopefully give myself a raise, right? Like every year I try to give myself anywhere from like a $200 to a $500 raise a month. I try to give myself if I can, to start to inch that up, because ideally we're getting to a place where you just have a consistent income and you're not doing the bonus structure. The bonus structure can work, but it's a lot more risky because you're just like, I don't know how much to bonus myself. And then you're going off of gut a lot of the time, which is not my favorite place to do. Yeah. Okay. So I got 7 minutes. I'm going to give us some time to download one of these two things, either YNAB or this NerdWallet budget planner. So we'll look at that real quick. This is free. It's going to be, you can either fill it in on their website, but what I would do is you can download it as like an Excel or a Google Sheets file. I think that's going to be a lot easier to work with. And this is totally free, and so you can use that. If you're like, I hate technology, I refuse to use technology, that's totally fine. We can use a pen and paper. It's just like you're going to have to do a little bit more legwork, and that's totally up to you. Okay. Do I have any folks that are like, I'm absolutely going pen and paper for this? NerdWallet's not going to connect to bank accounts, so you're going to have to manually input everything in. Okay, great. Hobbs is going pen and paper. I love it. Whatever is going to make this come to fruition makes me happy. Okay, we've got this. I will send this. There's a blog post that talks a lot about like how to talk to your partner and some things to do, to think about. So I'll send that out. You'll also have this script, which you, as we now know, you could read to yourself in addition to your partner, and get yourself on board. Let's see. Kiana, you said, I have pen and paper and some apps, probably too many and not helping me be consistent. Yeah, I would strongly encourage, like, use this as an opportunity to consolidate to one thing to track if you're using multiple things. Jean, you said, so am I mainly because I'm tracking each expense to build a budget form. Okay. All right. So the next big step here is, I say this here and I can just kind of jump through this, but the biggest challenge I see folks struggle with is time. right? It's like you can get yourself to come to this because there's this level of accountability and you maybe you're may not have paid to be here and you're like there's something holding you here, right? You know that I am expecting you to come. But then as soon as you leave, you're like, how do we create structure and accountability on our own? And so what I would like to see right now is you to whip open your calendar right this minute. I want you to pull up your calendar wherever your calendar exists. And I want you to find a reoccurring, ideally, it's like the same time every week. If you can't do that, that's totally okay. But ideally, we've got same day, same time every week. You're going to come do this homework. You're going to work on your budget. You're going to have a cup of coffee so you don't fall asleep. Maybe you have a dance party. I saw someone talking about like something with a DJ. Some people like to do it at night with a glass of wine. Whatever you want, make it nice, make it cozy. And I would like you to tell us in the chat, when are you having your weekly money date? And there are 30 of you in here, so I expect to see 30 replies in the chat. 30 dates, please. Okay. Izzy, I want to know what time. Casey, I want to know what time. Josette, I want to know what time. Don't you tell me morning. Don't you tell me afternoon, Jean. Tell me what time. Love this. Love this. Great. 3 to 4. Love it. 2 p.m. Thursday nights. Doing it right after this. I like it. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Oh, welcome, Eileen. So nice to see you. Awesome. 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 Cool. That sounds great, Ryan. Yeah. Piggyback it off of this session. Beautiful. I love it. Okay. So here we go. We've got 3 minutes. So we're going to open whatever app you're going to do. If it's YNAB, you're going to open the YNAB app. If it's NerdWallet, you're going to open that. If it's your notebook, you're going to open that. Let me think about, I think for the notebook folks, if you're going to do pen and paper, if you're willing, like Hobbs, would you be willing to like model your pen and paper off of like the NerdWallet thing? Just so you have like, I just want you to have like some framework so you know what to write down. Does that feel okay? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Can I ask a question, Emily?
Yeah, go for it.
So I finally got to the money part of YNAB, and it's giving me the option to either pay yearly or monthly, and it says there's a free trial.
Oh, yeah, you can use that too. If you use, I'm like, let me go grab.
I couldn't even see how to use yours though.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in the chat right now for you.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. And we'll go from there.
Yeah, the free trial, it's auto renews and takes the whole year at the end of the month.
But you can cancel it, right?
Yeah, I'm so bad at that.
Well, what I would suggest, okay, so here's the link. That's like my referral link that you can use if you want for the free trial. And then let me grab the NerdWallet one. And then what I would suggest doing is put in your calendar right now the day before that auto renewal would happen and set a reminder to go cancel it if you want to. Like if you're like, I got what I need, I don't want to do this anymore. All right. And then just pulling up what happened.
All right, let me just ask one more question. So
Go for it.
I clicked the monthly, which isn't clicking the start your free month. I just want to be sure that that's when I'll be at if I I've clicked monthly. If I move forward, that's when it's going to ask me for your code.
It should just ask, like, did you click the link I put in the chat?
Oh, I had already started. I had downloaded the app,
Yeah, I
but
don't
I've
think
not.
I think you just have to use the link I put in the chat. It's totally
I
okay
see.
if you don't. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
yes, Josette, as a rule of thumb, I try very, very hard to pay for all of my subscriptions annually. I know it can be like tough mentally to like adjust to that, but you do save a lot of money a lot of the time on like being on an annual subscription. So just if you already are using it and it's going well, I think it makes sense to hop over there. So I put the NerdWallet one in. Josette, yes, I encourage you to move forth with the annual. Um, oh, Arden, yes. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I was misunderstanding. So if you use my link, you get an extra free month on top of the YNAB trial. That's the point of the link. Sorry, I misspoke, Falami. So you get 2 free months. Look at that. We're in business. Okay. Raise your hand if you have opened one of the 2 links I sent you, either the NerdWallet or the YNAB. Okay, cool. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're moving. Josette, yes, excellent. Anyone have questions so far? You good? Okay. So our homework, and I'll send this in the email, but your homework is to fill out the personal budget. That's it. That's all you got to do this next week. I know all you got to do is minimizing how much work it is, but that is your only homework this week, is to fill out the personal budget and to come to our call next week having a reasonably um a reasonably I'm losing words, a reasonably accurate representation of how much money needs to come into your home. And so for those of you, yeah, no business expenses are going into this budget. This is just your home. So this is like food, electricity, your housing costs. That's it. No business stuff being involved yet. And if you are someone that's like, you're just kind of getting going and you aren't necessarily like a significant financial contributor to your home, like sometimes that's happening where you're like, this is new and like, we're not currently super depending on my income. What I want is for you to start to have an idea of like what you could contribute and what you would like to contribute, right? So like when I first started my business, I was contributing $0 to our household, right? Like, and it took a little while until I started to contribute. I was like contributing $500 a month to our household, right? Like, and then that grows hopefully, right? And now I'm contributing like 40% of our income. Someone just is joining us right now. So yeah, so like just tell me when next week, come prepared with a number that you're like, this is what I need to be contributing. This is what I'd like to be contributing. This is what I can contribute. Those are like 3 different numbers, right? Those aren't all necessarily the same. Okay. Any questions, fears, concerns, panics, excitements?
I have a question about like
Yeah.
with so with like the app, the YNAB and stuff like that, like I'm trying to keep my business expenses separate, like on a different credit card, but some of them are getting mixed in.
Sure.
But then like I have my bank account and then like we have a joint account where we kind of pay the mortgage and like split that.
Mm-hmm.
Do they like if we determine I don't necessarily want to include all my partner's information, like is there a way to kind of I don't know, show because we kind of split 50-50 for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if YNAB could kind of, or if there was any recommendations for.
Tell me the question one more time.
Well, like if I put in my bank info, like, and I put in our joint account and that, but like not all that income coming in from the joint account would be like mine.
But
I
it
just
would
don't
be indicative of the household, right?
Yes.
Because right now, all we're looking for is like what the household requires.
Okay.
And then from that, so like let's say like the household costs, just to make easy numbers, the household costs $10,000 a month to run, right?
Mhm.
And there is $12,000 coming into the household, right? Maybe 10 of that 12,000 is your partner's and 2 of that 12,000 is yours. That's totally fine. Like it doesn't matter. All we need to know is like how much does the household require to be up and running? And then the next step from there would be to start to look at like what would we like the household to have coming in, right? So like maybe you're not quite saving for retirement yet or having vacations or anything like that, right? So we're looking at what does the household need to bring in? What um, what would we like the household to be bringing in? And then of that bucket, what contribution is yours personally?
Okay.
Does that make sense, Molly? So it's like
Yeah.
if the household requires $10,000 to run, are you responsible for 5,000 of that 10? Are you responsible for 2? Are you responsible for 8? Like of that pie, how much are you responsible for? Because that will then influence how much the business needs to make, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks.
Other questions?
So Emily, I went too fast. So having started it, now it's telling me that there's already an account with my name and I cannot figure it out. I deleted the app and it still is saying your this email is
Do
already
you have another
registered.
email?
I do. I just didn't want to do that
I
option,
know.
but
I feel like that's probably your easiest
oh, I'm
option.
so sorry. I moved too fast.
It's okay. You were excited. You were like, yay, budgets. I'm sorry, Flomi. You could also reach out and ask. I mean, they probably have a support. They probably also have like a support line if you wanted to reach out and be like, I meant to use this referral link. Can you apply the referral link to this email? That could be another option too. Yeah, totally. Okay, other questions. Millie, you said my budget may be sort of tricky because I run a home-based childcare program. So some of my household utilities come out of my business bank account, like my mortgage. I keep all of my business purchases from my business bank account, but what would be the best way to separate these? Or I
That
guess
makes sense.
this would be a part of my business. Yeah, so like I would not. So you're thanks Fritz and Hobbs.
Yeah. So like my mortgage comes out of my business bank account because
Yeah, so then
technically,
it's
so
not
that's
going
like,
in, it shouldn't go
okay.
into YNAB at all then,
Okay. Okay.
right? Like
Got it.
'cause you have a personal bank account in addition to your business
Yeah, I
bank
have a
account?
personal bank
Yeah,
account and I have a business bank account. And I try to keep them separate, but like
good for you.
some of like our trash pickup is goes on the business card because like, we run my business from home. So there's not much of a separation, but there's a little bit of a
Sure.
separation.
Sure. Yeah, I would say anything that's like that you're expensing when you do your taxes,
Okay.
like that should be coming through your business bank account. It should not be coming from
Okay.
the personal. Yeah. And for some folks,
Cool.
like this might be an opportunity for you to like reallocate some of your things. Like
Yeah,
maybe you're
totally.
like, oh, this should not be going through here. Right. Yeah. Other questions? Okay. If we are good, I release you. Hazel, if you want to hang out for a second, I can just bring you up to speed real quick. I know you left or you joined us late. Um, Otherwise, reach out if you have any questions, and I will send the replay out later today with all the links for all the things. And I really, really mean it. Like, just email me if you're getting stuck. If you're like, my brain is freezing, I cannot move forward, just email me. That's really what I'm here for, is to like, I want you to be successful at this. I want you to get this done. So whatever support you need, you just ask and I'm happy to try and help. Okay, cool. All right. I will see you all soon. Hazel, if you want to hang out for a sec, I'm happy to just bring you up to speed. Thank you all. Thank you. Oh, your Zoom audio is not working. Got it, Hazel. Hazel, if you want to email me, you're welcome to. And then I think, did you think we started at 10:30? No. Okay. I'm like, oh, this is impossible because I can't hear you. Hold on. Let me